Dear students, good morning. Let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 23rd February 2018. The first article, Star Wars. You know that in Tamil Nadu, after the death of Chief Minister Jayalalitha, there is a lot of political vacuum which is created. Tamil Nadu politics are notorious for two things. One is cult leadership and factionalism in politics. AIADMK sees DMK as enemy and DMK as AIADMK as enemy. So the vacuum so created is expected to be occupied by the emerging stars, that is Kamala Hassan and Rajinikanth. But remember over here, today people are looking for an alternative political formation that can act as a moral force. It means the Cherishma kind of politics, they are expected to soon lose their sheen if they are not giving a viable alternative developmental platform to the people. So, my statement is this: India needs alternative politics, not political alternatives. It means that more and more choices have to expand in terms of policy, in terms of governance and development. And coming of next another party will not make a significant difference to the politics. That's what we need to understand. We need alternative politics rather than political alternatives. Saving lives. It is about neonatal mortality rate. So we have neonatal mortality rate, infant mortality rate, maternal mortality rate. You need to have an understanding of this. In India, the neonatal mortality rate is very high. Our situation is much worse than Rwanda. So what are the factors? So, hospital deliveries and early nutrition to the mother, these are the two factors that can reduce the neonatal mortality rate. What is the most common cause of death in the neonates? Neonate means a child less than 1 month. It is preterm delivery. So, why this preterm delivery happens? If there is anemia in mother, it means lack of blood. And second is if she is hypertensive or the nutritional status of mother is not adequate, that is going to hurt the development of the child. And in the early days, preterm babies, if they are being kept under a warmer, there is a better chance that they will live. Today, the hospital infrastructure is very poor. If deliveries happen in the hospital, probably to an extent the child can be saved, a minimal facility is available to them. So here we don't need extraordinary facilities. What we need is a warm cloth and warmer, or to an extent some antibiotics. These will save the children. But institutional deliveries, though encouraged by Janani Suraksha Yojana, lack of proper rural-urban connectivity, hospital connectivity is a major problem over here. After the birth of the child, encouraging the breastfeeding and then education of the mothers, these all play an important role in reducing the neonatal mortality. Now, Rwanda has practiced this and they have achieved a remarkable decrease in mortality rate. Now, if you go further, Tamil Nadu and Kerala in India also have achieved the neonatal mortality rate to around 15 per thousand live births. In India, the average is around 25. So, it means if we can take concrete steps which are simple but effective, we can reduce the neonatal mortality and can save children's lives in India. And then planning for electrical mobility. What is the objective of India? We have to replace the existing combustion engine vehicles on roads by electrical vehicles by 2030. It is a very ambitious plan. So electrical vehicles, they need batteries. So obviously, lithium ion batteries, the manufacturing facility do not exist in India. And second, we need to have a charging infrastructure which can quickly charge and car can come into use. So this charging infrastructure is also not created. And we need to have convertibility. It means the charging points across India and the other countries are across the states. These have to be one and the same. So to what extent this can be possible is a question. And after, coordination between the local bodies and state government, because most of these electrical vehicles are going to first hit the roads on the urban areas. So the local governments have to create an ecosystem for encouraging them. Now, above all, see one thing. There are employment concerns. Now today, the automobile industry, it has adds up to the 7% of the growth, and it is expected to become around 300 billion plus dollars. So the many jobs which are created, they are expected to be lost. So India, how it is going to bear this shock, that is what is the major question. So unless we address these major policy concerns, we cannot really bring in electrical mobility. Is electric mobility is good? Yes, because it reduces environmental pollution. So what are the takeoffs, or else what is the cost benefit analysis? Niti Aayog states that around 4 lakh crore of rupees can be saved, but we have to debate that particular thing. Talk like a South Asian. So whenever I see the Shiv Vishwanathan article, I lose the motivation to do the video that day. The reason is this, is language is so complex. I have to go through the dictionary here and there to understand them. And he can put the same thing in very simple words, simple sentences. I don't understand why this man makes it so complex. Now, let me put it this way. A democracy need to expand. Let me put it this way. What do we remember when we talk about South Asia? Diversity. Diversity in geography, diversity in size, diversity in demography, everything we talk about when we talk about South Asia. And in this context, if we visualize South Asia as a uniform entity, then there will be frictions between the countries naturally. And second is, the democracy as a project, it grows if we give respect for diversity. Either the countries have to be uniform. If they are not uniform, the diversity need to be respected and accommodated. So the social differences that exist among the people and the social diversity, we need to understand, reimagine, and we need to provide a certain curriculum and framework to understand this diversity and imagination. And third, as on a democracy perspective, in South Asia, different countries stand at different places. It means they are not at uniform level with regard to establishment of democratic institutions are concerned. Here, we need to understand three things. Foundational aspects of democracy and expansion of democracy, deepening of democracy. The foundational aspects of democracy, it means building a constitution, making a state structure, and providing for a proper resources to the state. All this comes under the foundational challenges to democracy. In this case, Afghanistan is going through this foundational challenge. And deepening of democracy, expansion of democracy, it means to what extent this democratic ideal is expanding across the regions, across the social groups, etc. It means that Jammu and Kashmir, Northeast, and among the social groups, to what extent the rights of the minorities are protected. All this comes under the question of expansion of democracy. Now, if you expand outside the country, to what extent one country is dealing with other country with sense of equality, that comes under deepening of democracy, expansion of democracy. So here, India tries to see entire South Asia from Pakistan and China perspective. Because of this, it has got a very myopic view about diversity, and it brings in something called high-handedness or big brotherly attitude. This, instead of solving the problems, is actually accentuating them, increasing the problems. And that's why, if democracy has to expand, India need to open for the diversity and imagination that is existing in South Asia. That is what is the essence he is talking about. So in this context, media, civil society, academics, everyone has to play a role. And he talks about South Asian University, which is supposed to format or convert that into an academic syllabus, the diversity of South Asia into an academic syllabus. But the formation of the South Asian University has become like any other university without life into it. That's what is the anguish expressed by him. Now, is the Supreme Court verdict on Kaveri fair? So I will say Supreme Court verdict is a win-win situation because the Bangalore, Karnataka, it has got 14.5 TMCs of water, and Tamil Nadu has got a predictable mechanism to manage the river water. Kaveri Management Board is supposed to be created, but there are certain grey areas. The Supreme Court has estimated that at least 10 TMCs of water will be available in the ground in the Tamil Nadu. But on what basis this estimate has come, it is not clear. And the second aspect is the government of India is not playing an active role in doing away the interstate river water disputes. So when the tribunal has given a Kaveri River Water Award, it was estimated that government will constitute a Kaveri River Management Board, but it did not constitute it till now. The Supreme Court has ordered to constitute within 6 weeks. We have to wait and see. And the Bangalore do not fall under the basin of Kaveri River water. So in those circumstances, how come this 4 TMCs of water are been 4.5 I think TMCs of water is been allocated to Bangalore? This is the question which is been posed over here. So this is by and large with the Kaveri River water management. Now there are few important statements the Supreme Court has made. The river is not a property of any state. So and second, it's a national property. The second is so the drinking water shall be the first priority in allocating the river water. These are the two statements made by the Supreme Court in this context. An umbrella for the consumer, what does that mean? It means the existing Consumer Rights Protection Act 1986 is going to be replaced by a new Consumer Rights Act. So in this new Consumer Rights Act, we will have mediation, and then there will be an authority, the Consumer Rights Protection Authority, and this authority can investigate and also impose penalties. And today, if there is a product, if it creates any danger to life, etc., compensation can be asked even for that. So, we are going to get a comprehensive law that covers both offline and online sales, and along with that multi-level marketing, everything they come under the definition of consumer benefits. So that new law is on the way. That is what this article talks about. Now, there are two things which have attracted me this week. One is 15th Finance Commission meeting with the southern states. And second, Tamil Nadu actor Kamala Hassan unveiling his party. So both, here there are two concerns which are expressed. One is the population or fertility rate between the north and southern states, it is vastly different now. So 1971 population was the basis for allocating the Finance Commission award. So last time 14th Finance Commission has given 10% weightage to the 2011 population census. So because of this, it is claimed that Tamil Nadu has lost around 6,000 crore rupees of allocations. Now 15th Finance Commission, what it is stating is, we will allocate all the finances based on 2011 census population. The weightage given to the population is maximum, and the population which we take into consideration is 2011. So the southern states question is this. So we have decreased the fertility rate with great efforts and investments on health and education. So are we getting punished for achieving the national objectives? That is what they stated as. And then Mr. Kamala Hassan raised, the southern states will be brought together to strengthen the federalism and its dimensions. So these two things appears to be having some connection. Try to take a look into it. It's not a political connection. So the federalism and financial allocations, how they are going to be important for us. And the next is coming to the main page. Canada, India red-faced over to invite to Khalistan activist. So Jaspal Atwal, a person who is convicted in case of killing an Indian minister from Punjab, he is also part of the delegation of visiting Prime Minister of Canada, Mr. Trudeau. So in this case, diplomacy is all about due diligence that appears to be missing. And this is what is the most important news for me. 2 benches refer land acquisition case to CJI. In Supreme Court, not everything appears right now. What are the reasons? Four senior judges, they have questioned the attitude of the CJI, and then CJI declared he is the master of the roster. And after that, this case is also very much important. Previously, a three-judge bench has given a judgment on certain land acquisition case. Now, another bench, it is also a three-judge bench, which is headed by Mr. Arun Mishra, Justice Arun Mishra. It has declared that this judgment above is not based on facts. So that is par incurium. So how come one bench judgment will be criticized by another bench of equal size? That is what is being questioned by Mr. Joseph Kurian, who is part of this particular three-judge bench, the earlier three-judge bench. So this has led the later bench to refer the land acquisition cases before them to the CJI to deal with them. So this appears that the rift in the Supreme Court is becoming deeper between the judges. In the last page, I gave you the notes that will be available to you at laix.in/civilsprep. Thank you very much and all the best.